I'm Michael Conroy, and I set up Men at Work, which is a community interest company training professionals who work with boys and young men in education, social work, youth work, to have good dialogues with them about what's going on in their lives, about the ideas and the values that are taking shape in them, and about what they're encountering online and how that might be affecting their understanding about what it means to be a man, and also about how they relate to women and girls. Obviously, healthy relationships is a big part of the work, and an aspect of that is when relationships are unhealthy and when some behaviours are abusive. An example of that is something called love bombing. Love bombing is a term that I came across 30 or 40 years ago in the context of cults and how cults recruit members. Vulnerable individuals are blasted with affection and interest and gifts and people spending time with them as a way of trying to groom them into taking part in cult-like activities. And it's really interesting to be here now thinking about what love bombing means in the context of individual relationships and intimate relationships. And often the feeling of being love bombed is described as a whirlwind, as being swept off your feet, of being inundated with declarations of love, often really quickly as well. It's generally not a slow burner. It generally happens really quickly. Depending on the age of the people involved, it could be that, for example, there's talk about moving in together really quickly or having kids really quickly. And the problem is that we live in a world and a culture where much of our romantic tradition, films, books, songs, novels, plays, they tend to present these extreme behaviours of never taking no for an answer, grand gestures in public, making declarations of love in front of other people. It's a strategy, it's a way of one person understanding how to get what they want in a relationship. That would be things like isolation from friends and family, because the person who's doing the love bombing says, I can't bear to be without you, or do your friends really like you? Not as much as I do. So that kind of planting of the seeds of doubt so that you become the centre of trust and attention for that person. And that often kind of ties into a secondary aspect of love bombing, or a connected aspect, which is called floodlighting, being extremely open and extremely deep and intense very quickly. And it might be that they on the first date even, they might talk about their psychological traumas, their past difficult experiences, maybe their mental health diagnosis, or something that seeks to form a bond between them and the person in their sights, so that if somebody has unburdened themselves or appears to have done that and trusted you with some very, very deep secrets or deep admissions of their past, then you then have to be very careful with them, and you have to put their feelings first. So it's a very clever strategy, which looks like honesty, but isn't honesty, in the same way that love bombing looks like love or feels like love, but it isn't, because the intention is completely different. And ultimately, the harm of both is the removal of your sense of self, your independence, your autonomy, your self-esteem, and almost always your isolation from other people in your life, your friends, family, who could offer a counter-narrative and different perspectives and remind you of the person that you've been up until that point.